All right, so we got the Umbro Medusae III Pros right here. These are actually pretty awesome, to be honest with you. My first pair of Umbros that I've ever owned and going to actually be able to wear and play in. These are relatively cheap. Got them from eastbay.com and finalscore.com. They're super discounted. This particular colorway, the size 10, got them for 65 bucks, which the normal retail, I guess, is 200, but they're probably on sale everywhere. So perhaps people are now finally maybe looking at these boots because, hey, they're cheap and they're, you're looking for high-end boots that are on sale. So I picked these up along with the Nike Phantom Venom Pros to kind of just see maybe which one I would like better, And I got to say that these definitely are pretty sweet. The colorway, this is like it's a gray, dull gray with the orange accent and black, as you can see here. So they're aesthetically, they're really not. I'm not going to give them aesthetically like this colorway. I really don't think is that fantastic, to be honest with you. It's not like it's really not a good looking colorway and like oh wow, which is probably why this colorway is probably it's the cheapest one for that particular reason, I'd imagine. However, it's more of a neutral color, the gray, so it's going to match everything that you're wearing. The slight orange, it's really not popping orange, so I don't think it's really going to contrast with anything if whatever color jersey that you're wearing. So it's really not that big of a deal. But these really aren't that like wow looking when you get them, So they don't have that aspect to them. They have when you get over that colorway, like when I look at it this way and I kind of bring that tongue up, they do have a nice silhouette, though. I'll give it that. So say if these were just say all black, it does have a nice silhouette, So that's the silhouette aspect is nice. I don't mind that. Just the colorway, I don't really fancy the gray and the orange. Not really my thing. If anybody rides motocross or dirt bikes, that's kind of like that. The KTM used to be like this gray color with the orange, and that's kind of what it kind of reminded me of, like an old KTM. But color really isn't a main thing for me. I'm like, oh, I need this particular color boot, so that's not really a selling point. Yeah, if it was the same price and it had this colorway and that colorway, obviously I would choose the one for me that looks better in the color sense. However, for just getting it for cheap, I really don't care what color it is. As you can probably tell with these Furons back here, these were so cheap. I'm not fantastic on the color. I've got used to them, but again, I really don't care the color. Maybe the more neon pink and super neon green, the whole boot, I'll probably pass on that no matter the color. But other than that, yeah, really nice silhouette. I'll be honest though, the first thing that I noticed, like picking up these boots and whatnot, this is so like lightweight. It's really just, it's unbelievable how this feels in your hand. You're just like, it really feels like it's nothing. I've never owned a boot that I could compare it to. I've always worn Diodoras, Lottos, and the Diodora were the Francesco Totti ones. So they were more of a control boot, power boot, if you will. There was nothing about the Diodoras that were like, hey, we're trying to make this lightweight boot. It was just a good quality kangaroo leather, with the sole that had whatever special stuff in it. So it wasn't really made to be lightweight. So when I got this in my hands right now, it's quite amazing that how lightweight these feel. And then, I'm looking in pictures and other reviews. They're like, oh, it's so lightweight. And you think, well, okay, it has to be paper thin, perhaps like this. It's kangaroo leather. So, it has to be thin, perhaps even like thin where the durability is say, a major issue with this because it's so light. You would think that. However, when I got these, that was the first thing I wanted to check. Okay, can I? This kangaroo leather is crazy soft. Like, if you see me push this, it might be kind of hard, but I mean, it's hopefully it's kind of hard to see probably with the lighting. But like when I push this, it is just crazy how soft it is and this is just right out the box. However, so when it comes to, like, say, durability, and is this going to be like so paper thin that, okay, fine, it's a kangaroo leather if you're into that. Does it have that kangaroo feeling where, you know, there's a thickness to leather that I think that you need? If it's too thin, it's really not what you're going for. It has to have some sort of feel to this leather, and this definitely has it. It's not like a paper thin, cheap feeling. I mean, it is relatively nice. You know, when you're pushing on it and you can see all these creases in this leather everywhere, just because it's, you know, it's that supple. And yeah, so going to the inside, it's not thin. It definitely it has it's like the leather, and then this material also. And I don't want to say it's like it feels, you know, okay, kind of, it's like a padded sensation, right? Thin enough where it should be thin. However, it feels, okay, it has a thickness to it, meaning that it's not going to be, okay, this cheap, super lightweight boot that's so thin it's just gonna tear up. No, it's a nice, solid feeling when you got your hand in here and even your foot, you know. So durability wise, with this leather, I don't see any issues. It's not thin, paper thin, where it's just like, yeah, this leather really is going to be bad. No, it's definitely nice. It has a thickness to it, which is crazy that it's so lightweight, using, you know, that thick of a leather. You would think it's going to be just nothing, but it's definitely it definitely has nice structure to it. It doesn't feel cheap. Yeah. So kind of just other things, I guess, looking at it, I think the main thing about this boot is really just that lightweight. You know, it's just like, hey, we're going to build a boot that's kangaroo leather that is extremely lightweight. So it's like, hey, I want a quote-unquote speed boot that's super lightweight, but I hate synthetic. I just don't like the synthetic feeling. I think that's probably what they were going for with this boot. Hey, let's make a speed boot that's kangaroo leather, that's ultra lightweight. And Umbro did it. They definitely did it. It's probably not a boot that everybody wears because probably the marketing side of things really isn't there for Umbro. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, if you're going to pay, say these were retail for $200 when they first came out, you know, there was probably other options that people were eyeing that was like, hey, yeah, that's an awesome boot, but, you know, I'm not quite too sure about it. I don't want to spend $200 on this thing and it not be that great, you know, because there's really not a ton of reviews out there that are just telling you how amazing this boot is. You know, it doesn't have super duper ACC and super duper speed, stud, mesh, fly wire, you know, all these crazy names for these boots nowadays. It's just kangaroo leather. It's just a lightweight kangaroo leather boot. That's all this is, you know, so it's nothing, you know, so it's hard to market that. Like, how do you market a lightweight kangaroo leather boot? Well, you know, if you're into kangaroo leather, and I mean, that's the type of person that you are, this boot's going to be awesome for you. This definitely is a really nice boot. You know, thinking back to my Diodora days, yeah, this would fit in. Like, if we went, you know, back in time and I was wearing this boot around, you know, it's gonna fit in with those boots. People would be amazed. Yeah, I would say this would probably be the #1 seller if we went back in time and said, hey, you got this kangaroo leather boot that weighs X amount of grams or pound or, you know, whatever ounces. They would be amazed, you know. But with synthetic out and all these marketing gimmicks, you know, just a lightweight leather boot doesn't sell anymore. I mean, that's not a thing any longer like it used to be. But if you like kangaroo leather and lightweight, this is this is literally phenomenal in the weight aspect and whatnot. So that is not going to let you down. The tongue, your foot in here, everything else. I mean, this is a nice, it's probably a synthetic. I imagine it's not real, but I mean, it's a suede feeling, which is nice. I keep talking about Diodoras because all my Diodoras had a nice suede texture to them on the inside, and it was so beautiful to wear the Diodoras. That this has that same sensation of just nice suede all through the inside. Even even this right here has a really nice nice texture to it. Nice grippy. This is more of like I would say has a neoprene feel to it. So that's maybe I guess normal. But this also has a nice lightweight feeling to it, so it's probably like nothing special, or maybe it is because it's so light. Who knows? But yeah, so there's no complaints when it comes to that. But yeah, so the inside of the boot feels really nice. So you got the suede on the heel until about I guess it does kind of maybe like right here is where that suede kind of texture runs out. And then it gets into, let's see here, maybe like right about here and forward, it gets to another material that's not as soft as the suede, more of a mesh feeling. I'll give it a tight mesh feel, So not as nice as the suede, but probably maybe not necessary because you're getting into this aspect of the boot where the suede's not really what you're going for. You're going for more of the feel, which is back here in the heel. You're going for the comfort aspect of it. So for me, this feels really nice. Feels like my Diodoras, just helium. The studs. This is probably maybe the downfall of the boot. I've heard a lot of people who are talking about this boot are saying, hey, the studs are just way too short. And that's going to be hard for me to tell until I'm actually on the pitch. Where I'm at, it doesn't rain at all. I'm out in the desert, so the pitches get watered and they are soft and they have grass. But it's not really soft. I guess it's kind of hard to explain, but this boot is going to be perfect there for it, so I don't see this really being that big of an issue because the ground here is soft in a sense, but not like where you need the SG studs. I think artificial grass is probably a big thing. I imagine why Umbro made these studs like this. They're probably not as short as they really seem to be when you're like looking at them. It probably has a weird effect because of all this texture, So it's probably not fair to say, hey, these are super short, but until you get out there. But yeah, so like probably artificial grass and stuff where it's not soft, this is probably perfect, But if you're playing on soft ground, you're going to be wearing SG studs, so it's like, okay, this will work everywhere until they don't. Then you're already going to have SG studs for your boots at that point, right? So yeah, firm to soft. I imagine you're going to be fine with these. Maybe once it gets a little bit, if it's raining, because if we compare them to say the Nike with these style chevrons, or maybe even the Furons, that have these more or less these chevrons. On my Diodoras, they're very similar to what this looked like. And when it was like, say it was raining, yeah, and the ground, the pitch was wet and more sloppy. I was slipping in my Diodoras, which I would have slipped in these style studs as well, So those wouldn't have been long enough. At that point, I would have needed SG boots, but you don't play on that type of ground often enough where I would need SG, It was just, you'd have to change up your game a little bit when that would happen. But it was so rare that I wouldn't need SG boots because, like I said, it was so rare when that would happen that these would work anywhere. And if they didn't and it was raining, then I would have to change up my game a little bit where I'm not making such sharp, hard, accelerating cuts and stops. You know, the game style would have to change. But that would be for everybody else as well. So it's not like I'm at a disadvantage. Everybody else is at a disadvantage because nobody else has SG studs anyway at that point. So these, yeah, I don't really have a problem with them being so short, or the aspect of them being so short. I really don't think that's going to be a problem unless it's raining or you need SG boots anyway. You know, this does have this little texture here. The bottom is more of a golf ball where it's the dimples, you know, and then coming up here they are the little dots, I don't want to say spikes, but you know, you can feel the texture to them. So I imagine that probably aids with some sort of grip. I don't see why it wouldn't aid in grip. So yeah, so I can't really say anything about, hey, this has this technology and that technology, because really all that technology is really just gimmicks for you to buy these boots, you know, Nike and Adidas and whatnot, you know. I mean, Nike wants as many shareholders as possible. They're a major for-profit, so any sort of marketing aspect that they could throw in a boot, Nike will do that, obviously. However, if you don't care about Nike, you know, Adidas and all this silly, you know, I imagine it's some sort of technology, but you know, if you're just a good player, or you're just looking to play and you want a good leather boot, and maybe like, you know, the Mizunos are just really out of your price range, if you can get these on sale, you will definitely not be disappointed with these. When I put these on, they feel really comfortable. You know, it's not a sensation of, say, these Nikes where it's like this tight hugging sensation, right? If you're into the tight hugging sensation of the boot, this does not give you that. This is almost like, the only way I can describe it is like a cloud on my foot. So you would think, okay, a cloud would be soft and maybe feel airy, you know, say a marshmallow even as well. You put your foot into a marshmallow, you know, it's really that comfortable, I think. The feeling of it, it's definitely comfortable. So if you're playing all day, I think these have that feeling of, you could play in these all day and then just, you know, you just loosen up the boots and then off you go. These boots are not going to give you that sensation like, man, I just can't wait to take these off like I feel these Nikes do, because they hug your feet so tight and you're just like, okay, after the match you just want to get them off. You just loosen these up, boom, and your foot still feels good, but you know, you get that, you know, get the tightness off, open it up, you know, and the boots are still comfortable. You just you know, if it's muddy out, you don't want to take off your boots, just loosen them up and walk with them, because you don't have that sensation, I just want to get these boots off. These are very, very comfortable, Diadora-esque, I want to say, you know, dare I say that. But yes, they're not hugging, they don't hug your feet, and they weren't tight at all. But it was a comfortable feeling. So I do like these, and I'm excited to get a chance to train in these and be on the pitch. So I would say if you are a leather person, that's the boots you've always had, and perhaps you're out there trying to say, hey, should I get these? You know, should I spend the big bucks on the Mizunos? You know, it's hard for me to say because I've never had them, but I've had high-end Diadoras, which are just as good as the Mizuno. You know, when you talk about made in Italy stuff, you know, these aren't that made in Italy Diadora, but to mimic that feeling, these definitely are an A plus for me. And when you throw these on the scale, right? When you throw these on the scale, I got them in grams. We're sitting at 174 grams. That just is amazing. So, these definitely are awesome. One thing I must note though, that when I was cinching these down, this did rip. All right, so there's these two little tongue holders. So I have to mention this. It could have been my fault because I was maybe, you know, I was just, the way I was tightening them down, I put too much pressure right here, and that did rip this little tongue holder. There are two, so perhaps that one's probably, you know, redundant. I imagine I could fix that, maybe just do some sort of sewing, or I could probably get a heat gun, and that's all this is. It's just that I can't remember the name of it, but it's just heat sink down. So if I just got that little tape and you just heat it up, it would reheat that down and cinch it, and then you'd be fine. But just something to note that I did see that when I pulled that. So that is probably kind of an issue with these boots. But you got this one up here, and the angle of the laces definitely, I would say you would be fine with that not happening here. This one down here is probably a little bit redundant. As for the laces, they are thick, so they have a nice thick filling, which I think aids in the comfortability. You know, when you're tightening them down, since they're thick and wide, they distribute the tension evenly, you know, across your foot. So if they're thin both ways, you know, like the thickness and the width, and you're tightening them up, that's going to cause a little bit more pressure because you just have such a small area of tightness going onto your foot. But since these are wide and thick, it creates a padding sensation and not a huge major pressure on your foot. So that was the only thing that I noticed, was just that thing kind of ripped. It's a bummer. Yeah, I could fix that, but I'll probably just leave it or just cut it off because this top one is fine right here, right? But other than that, yeah, these are on sale for $65. I would get them. I mean, $65, kangaroo leather all the way up through here. They weigh 175 grams. They're comfortable like a Diadora. I don't see why you couldn't, you know, why anybody would not like these at that price point. For $200, yeah, I would probably, you know, if you're paying $200, just get a high-end boot that's on sale at that point, right? But for $65, East Bay, Final Score, or anywhere else you could find them. If you can get them on sale, these are definitely worth it. You're going to enjoy them if you like the kangaroo leather, the comfort. You're not into the tightness of boots from, say, Nikes, or, you know, I guess even Adidas, or whatever the case may be. These are definitely worth it. So I hope that helps if you're kind of searching for the boots. But yeah, these are awesome. Thank you.